Good evening. Quick poll for you. Who here gets annoyed when somebody mentions the terms sustainability, environmentalism, or global warming? It's okay, you can be honest. As a Floridian, people will sometimes ask me, or more often tell me, your state's going to be underwater by 2100 or something like that. And I can't even begin to comprehend or let alone visualize what that can mean. So I did some research, and according to Climate Central and National Geographic, by 2170, unchecked pollution, the sea levels will have risen by a total of 5 feet. This is what South Florida looks like in that scenario. Furthermore, this is what the city of Miami Beach looks like. And you'll be pleased to know that Miami Beach still exists, but it's nothing more than that. It's just a beach. No Collins Avenue, no Lincoln Road, and certainly no Flamingo Park. So when someone brings up sustainability or global warming, you bet I'm annoyed. I'm damn annoyed. And I'm not just annoyed because of the horrifying prospect of what could happen to my homeland, but I'm annoyed because, like some in my generation, I'm caught somewhere between, well, damn, I should give up everything that I'm doing and put my efforts towards solving this massive problem. But I'm also caught somewhere between, this doesn't really seem realistic, I'll be dead then, and my children will be dead too. Why should I care? That being said, whether you felt rejuvenated inside hearing the word sustainability or you secretly groaned, that's what we're talking about today. I came to the Scheller College of Business for one of the first times in the spring of 2014 for a scholarship interview. And one of my interviewers was someone by the name of Howard Cannell. Howard Cannell has been a global sustainability leader at the Kimberly-Clark Corporation, is on the board of multiple sustainability initiatives here in Atlanta, and at the time was the managing partner of the Ray C. Anderson Center for Sustainable Business at Georgia Tech. And he gave me a piece of advice that I'll never forget. He said to me, "It is better to try to change 1% of Walmart than it is to open up 100 Ben & Jerry's when it comes to corporate sustainability. It's better to try to change 1% of Walmart rather than open up 100 Ben & Jerry's." What Howard meant by this is that a company like Walmart, the Fortune 1 company, has such a huge general impact that affecting even a small part of it can have more impact on the environment than opening up 100 smaller initiatives like Ben & Jerry's, even if they put progressive ideas and social responsibility at the forefront of everything that they do. Being the skeptic Georgia Tech student that I am, I decided to put Howard's advice to the test. And I did so by participating in the 2017 Co-op and Internship Summer Carbon Reduction Challenge. We'll just call it the challenge for the purposes of this presentation. And I not only found Howard's advice to be valid, but also really important. So today, let's discover together why, at first, you should try to change 1% of Walmart to meet your sustainability goals. Now, before we delve into the details of why you should try to change 1% of Walmart, let's establish why sustainability is important for business. Because to no fault of their own, and really no fault of their own, many folks may not see the connection between sustainability and profit. Per the Scheller College of Business, and I quote, "The Scheller College of Business has identified sustainability as one of 4 global business megatrends related to the future success of business education and research. What this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that every worker, every professor, every manager, every small business owner, every CEO who wants to be successful in business on this planet, this century, needs to keep these 4 things behind me in mind. And sustainability is one of them. And furthermore, if there's anything I've learned about sustainability is that at its root, it's a systems issue. And what that means is that sustainability just has a knack for being something that influences everyone and everything to different degrees. It can be something as simple as a paper straw at Ted's Montana Grill instead of a plastic straw pretty much anywhere else. Or it can be as large as harnessing solar energy in Nevada, using high-speed DC current lines to transport that across country, and then turning on your lights here in Atlanta. Sustainability is a systems issue, and it's critical to business. So I think you may be able to see how changing 1% of Walmart can translate to huge impact down the line. Now, back to the carbon reduction challenge. I worked on a team with 5 other interns, so there were 6 of us, at SunTrust Banks Incorporated. And our goal was to research, design, propose, and implement a sustainability project that would reduce SunTrust's carbon emissions. Our sponsor at SunTrust, Amy Ross, who is here in the audience with us this evening, proposed to us a multitude of different projects to tackle. Some more standalone, some more interconnected and intermeshed. These are things such as starting a walk, bike, and take the train to work challenge, increasing the use of LED lighting, bolstering the recycling policy on all of SunTrust properties, and reducing domestic staff air travel. Wanting to test this 1% of Walmart philosophy, we said to ourselves, what's the biggest standalone carbon emitter here? And how can we make a narrow but impactful project in that realm? We wanted to win after all, because we're all Georgia Tech students and we're all abnormally hyper-competitive. We looked at air travel, and while we could have looked at all the aforementioned projects and made a broad impact where we give people reminders of green things everywhere and every little thing that they do from 8 to 5, as my best friend says, the carbon reduction challenge, if anything, is an exercise of what to do when you have no experience, when you have no clout, and when you have no time. We were undergraduate interns with no sustainability experience, and we had 8 weeks to do all of this. So we did some back-of-the-envelope calculations. We said, okay, 1% of Walmart, right? What happens if we reduce 1 to 2% of SunTrust domestic staff travel flights over, year over year for 5 years? Something like that. Big impact was the result. And it's big impact because something like SunTrust is integral to all the business activity here in the southeastern United States, with 25,000 employees in 11 states. And our big impact for air travel was preventing the emissions of 1.1 million pounds of CO2 into the atmosphere. Okay, that's good, right? We said, a company as good as SunTrust probably doesn't send its employees on business travel and then makes them meet in the airport in the baggage claim and then turn around and go home. They probably get in a rental car to go to the meetings. So we said, let's look at their rental car policy. And it turns out that their default rental car option was an intermediate car. What happens if we bump that down to economy? Again, big impact. 500,000 pounds of carbon dioxide prevented from being emitted into the atmosphere. And then we said, wow, we're really taking up the numbers here. But geez, those planes emit a ton of CO2. Is there such a crazy thing as an airline that emits less carbon? And what happens if we switch a small percent of flights from one airline to another? Turns out that exists. Again, big impact. 250,000 pounds of CO2 reduced. And in the aggregate, we could save SunTrust 1.85 million pounds of carbon dioxide from being sent into the atmosphere, save them $2.1 million in total savings over 5 years. That's big impact, folks. And if you're having trouble understanding what 1.85 million pounds of CO2 looks like, 1.85 million pounds of CO2 is the energy equivalent of watching the Ed Sheeran cameo on Game of Thrones on a 42-inch LCD television for 535 years non-stop. Who the hell wants to kill the planet for that? Come on. Seriously though. Why do you laugh? Seriously though. What could something like this look 10 years from now? What about 15 years from now? What does this small change eventually lead to? I'm pleased to report that the day following our proposals to members of the C-suite, our rent-a-car modification was accepted and approved. And our flight reduction proposals are currently being evaluated with intent to implement. And I'll say that you might be thinking, this is a little too good to be true, right? Interns with no experience, no clout, no time, make big carbon impact, and then it gets adopted right away. However, our team stumbled upon what we think to be a more reasonable two-part theory as to why our carbon emissions reduction strategies were approved. It's not that just SunTrust folks are real polite. The first is that our recommendations were palatable. We proposed to modify just a small percentage of SunTrust's overall domestic staff travel. 2% year over year for 5 years. And what this means is that we could make significant carbon savings without upsetting SunTrust's current travel environment. Because people don't usually want to have their routines completely upended, whether they value those reasons or not, or whether they understand those reasons or not. And secondly, our recommendations were easy to implement and understand. And what this means is that people can take ownership of these initiatives, all the way down to the individual level. Let me give you an example. Someone who travels as part of their career at SunTrust may see the value in using a Skype video headset, which we propose that SunTrust buy more of, to avoid going to just 1 to 2 meetings a year. That is all that it takes to meet that 2% target. And likewise, that employee who still has to travel may see value to the company's bottom line and to the planet by renting something like a Ford Fiesta instead of a Ford Focus. It's not difficult to be part of solutions like these. And I truly believe that in order for corporations to be successful in their environmental sustainability initiatives, they need to enable their employees with the education and the tools necessary to allow them to make autonomous and independent decisions to improving the company's carbon footprint. Please allow me to be blunt here for a second. Because it wouldn't be responsible, it wouldn't be sustainable if we saw from reality. Sustainability is really hard. It's hard to perpetuate in business, and it's hard to perpetuate basically anywhere else. I mean, climate change, global warming, however you want to refer to it, is the single biggest challenge that humanity as a species has ever faced. And it's not just one issue, folks. It is a plethora of complicated, stressful, and extremely time-sensitive issues. And it calls for us uprooting and re-examining every institution we have designed as Homo sapiens sapiens. Sustainability is hard. And it's not just hard, it's revolutionary. But sustainability is viewed according to how you want to paint the picture. Radical and revolutionary, or something a bit more incremental. For SunTrust, our team provided padding on top of their current sustainability platform that allows them to be more competitive with their peer institutions, that allows them to increase their technological prowess, and allows them to be more operationally efficient. This is an incremental change. And the fact that it's incremental means that it's easier to understand and implement near term. It is a short-term win. And what I would implore to you today, whether you're an individual or you're going back to your office tomorrow morning, look for these short-term wins and keep looking for these short-term wins until you reach the level of education and transformation in your business model to make those more radical changes when the time comes. Because after all, you can't paper straw your way out of saving Florida's coastlines. Sustainability is hard. There's no doubt about it. But if we keep asking ourselves, and we keep tackling those what if we change just 1% questions, we can begin to make progress, and we can begin to make progress more rapidly than we ever thought possible. And as Georgia Tech graduate and sustainability champion Ray Anderson probably would have said, it's a great way to brighten your corner of the world too. Change 1% to change the world. At Georgia Tech, we say, you can do that. Thank you sincerely for your time and attention. May you be successful in your sustainability journey, and may God bless you all. Thank you.